Okay, so let's just go ahead into this reading here. Let me see if there's anything else. Let me check here. So I feel for many of you, there is a major relationship that you have already relinquished. Okay, so this card really jumped out at me out of all the cards, and I know it's a minor arcana card, but it really jumped out at me. This is basically something that you've been hanging on very tightly to. It could be a relationship for many of you. I do feel relationship. I do feel status quo because, you know, as an earth sign, you're very resistant to change. Also, as a fixed earth sign, you're doubly so. Okay, so I feel like it would take some major calamity, major catastrophe for you to realize, you know what? I can't fix this situation, so I'm going to have to relinquish. But I feel this is the month where energetically, I feel like things are just not working anymore, and you've finished up. You realize it's not for your greater good, and you're going to have to let things go. For some of you, it's a major relationship. Major relationship. This is a card about institutions. This is a card about home. This is a card about relationship. And it was less than stellar, okay? It indicates to me possibly being in a relationship with somebody who is so independent that they don't know how to work together with you as a partner. And this is also a relationship that is together, like you're together, contractually you're together, but you're almost like leading separate lives, okay? So it's like an unhappy marriage. And I'm also feeling as well, there is a sense of like people draining each other's finances with this card. It's like when you're apart, you feel great, you feel amazing. And then when you're together, the energy feels very dense. You know, they might not even be a bad person. They might not even think you're a bad person even. But I feel like together, the two of you are lacking in direction. Together, the two of you have tried everything under the sun to make things work. But if the relationship feels very stagnant, it feels like financially there is a financial entanglement. There's also financial losses associated with this card. And I'm also feeling as well, you know, it's an opposites attract type of energy, but it's not a harmonious, seeing eye to eye type of an energy. So many of you have let a relationship go, long-standing relationship, possibly a marriage, and you're moving house, you're moving out of a physical environment, moving into another environment. And I'm also sensing you have some options to choose from in terms of your dwelling. And then for others of you, this can also be as well, finishing up major projects I mentioned before, and then shifting into, you know, what do I do next? Taking on more opportunities, looking around you to see what opportunities are in store, and being very hopeful, feeling very jubilant, and feeling as if you can begin life anew, living up to your potential. And especially, this is overall about being very hopeful and being very joyous at, you know, embarking on a new path, starting on a new journey. So this month is all about, you know, wrapping things up and moving forward. And I feel that for many of you, it's going to be a lot easier if you drop your heavy load, if you just, you know, look at what you're doing here. And if you are very resistant to change, this month is going to be very hard. On the other hand, if you have already shed, you know, your old emotional baggage and physical baggage and people from your life, it has a lot of opportunities in store for you. So I would urge you to try to, you know, figure out what's not really working, especially a living arrangement, especially as well dealing with relationships that are kind of like teetering towards, you know, like a dead end, and then trying to move past it, okay? Because you have some really positive energy. Professionally, things are looking good. Professionally, you're in high demand. You have a lot of things on your plate. And I'm also sensing many of you might be, others of you might be like ahead of the energy, where you're exploring new options, romantic options, work options. And I'm also sensing as well, revisiting This is not a bad card, especially in the reverse position. If this card is going to fall out, this is a very, very good situation where you are revisiting something. So I'm sensing some of you might be reaching out to like previous employers, previous supervisors, slipping your resume towards them, or mailing them your resume, or emailing them your resume, so that they can make recommendations for you, or you're revisiting previous clients, previous people you've worked with, and just, you know, trying to fish around to see like, hey, is there any positions available at the previous company, or are there positions available now, or do you know any contacts that would be interested in what I have to offer? So I see a lot of internet-based types of communication back and forth between you and other people that you might have worked with, okay? And I'm also sensing as well, for those of you who are thinking as well about traveling, I feel like plans and things like that are solidifying. You're making plans for a major travel endeavor. And I feel like it's a new environment. That's what it feels like. So you're working, figuring out the logistics. You're trying to figure out, okay, so what date am I supposed to go? When am I supposed to leave? Where am I going to stay? So figuring out the logistics of a major trip. The last card that we have here, the Hermit in the reverse position. The Hermit in the reverse position basically indicates a situation where we need to dig a little bit deeper. A situation where we need to like really analyze it. We really need to examine it through a lens that supports growth and understanding. So if for whatever reason, if things have been, you know, very burdensome the first week of this month, October, and you're just like, you were stressed out, or you were feeling like, I don't want to deal with this right now, and you might have let something go. This card with the Hermit in the reverse is telling you, you know, really examine it, try to revisit it, and try to figure out, is it really over? Did I handle it to the best of my capabilities? If it's a project and you're dealing with a lot of temperamental people, you want to really look at it as, okay, what am I learning from it? How can I prevent it from repeating itself in the future? So it's kind of like taking the knowledge with you as you move forth and trying to really glean important lessons from it, okay? So I'm looking at all the major arcana cards, and this is the way that it looks to me. All the major arcana cards. And you know, this is your card here, Taurus. The Hierophant symbolizes you. When it shows up in the reverse position, this is a card overall about, you know, having a lot of success, and it can also indicate financial success. So this combination basically screams out to me that the more success you have, the more responsibilities there are in store for you. So you want to be very careful about reaching that middle ground, okay? Reaching that middle ground and thinking like, when is it going to be enough? Like, when is enough going to be enough? Like, when will I get to that point where I'm perfectly content, where I'm not gathering a lot more material gains, because it's going to bring a lot of problems. It's going to bring a lot of assets. It's going to bring a lot of things into my life that I have to manage. So I feel like it's really important for you this month to really figure out, you know, what's not working. What am I living for? And can I do with less? So I feel for many of you, thinking heavily about traveling light, thinking heavily about letting go of physical, emotional baggage so that you can begin a new phase of your life with a lot more, I feel like with a more minimalist approach to life, so that you don't feel burdened, you don't feel bogged down, so that you don't feel encumbered by a lot of unnecessary stuff and baggage, okay? What I'm sensing here with this card, the Page of Wands, this is a child card, okay? So I feel that for many of you, if you are in any capacity where you're dealing heavily with children, okay, teacher, mentor, babysitter, nanny, whatever the situation might be, I'm sensing that I'm sensing that you might have a child or somebody that has like, attention problems. That's the first thing. And so when you're dealing with children who might be very jittery, they have trouble staying still, they have trouble retaining information. If you revert to using, didactic tools, especially visual tools, it's going to be very helpful. Okay, so that message came through. And then I'm also sensing as well, if you have like a person that is an underling, okay, somebody who is an apprentice, somebody who's working with you, somebody who's kind of like working under you, I'm sensing this person is exploring other opportunities. So you might be in a position where you're dependent on this person, but they feel like you're not giving them enough credit. So I feel like they might be looking at other employment opportunities, looking at other employers in general. So be careful about that. Okay, so have a talk with them and ask them, like, especially if it's a fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo, ask them like, well, do you see yourself here, like, for the next few years, because I'm going to need you? Or tell them, is there anything I'm doing wrong that you would like me to change? So I feel like a heart-to-heart conversation with this person before they disappear, because it seems like they're very eager to learn. And if you take on the burden and you don't learn to delegate, they're going to get frustrated. They're going to feel like they're not able to shine. And they're going to look at opportunities where they have more freedom, where they have more responsibilities. And then likewise, I'm sensing for many of you, you're already bored with your job here. And you're looking at more opportunities. You're looking to branch out. And I feel like the future looks really, really, really good, because opportunities are going to be in store for you. You are in high demand. Your resume looks really, really good, Taurus. So I'm sensing for many of you, major move here. And I feel like shifting location as well.